All right, welcome to my backup account at Hawkeye Whack-A-Mole. So remember that a few weeks ago, right before the election, the state ProPublica reported on the state of Georgia and specifically on their maternal mortality committee that had investigated. It investigates the deaths of women and children during childbirth, pregnancy, those kinds of things. ProPublica reported that Georgia's maternal mortality committee had learned that there were at least 2 young pregnant women in the state of Georgia who had died because they were not able to get the medical care they needed while they were pregnant because of Georgia's abortion bans, Georgia's Trump abortion bans that came into effect after Donald Trump appointed 3 conservative justices to the Supreme Court, who, together with Thomas and Alito, overturned Roe versus Wade and doing away with 50 years of women's constitutional rights to bodily autonomy. The response to that reporting and the publicity that reporting got nationwide, the response of the Georgia state government was not to say, gee, what changes can we make to these statutes to ensure that young women don't die when they're seeking medical care? The response of the Georgia state government, we learned at the end of last week, was to fire every single member of the Georgia Maternal Mortality Committee. It's like Donald Trump saying, well, stop testing for COVID. If you stop testing, there won't be any cases. It's that mentality. Except this involves dead young women, which the Georgia state government has now conclusively demonstrated they have absolutely no interest in preserving or preventing those kinds of deaths of young pregnant women. Then, a day or two before the election, we learned about a case in Texas, a young woman who was 18 years old, who was pregnant, who wanted to be pregnant. She and her family were very conservative. She wanted to have a large family, and she started having kids. She wanted to have a kid. She wanted her pregnancy, and she started bleeding and was rejected by 3 separate emergency rooms over an 18-hour period until it was because of Texas's abortion bans, which have been in place for 2 years, a statewide abortion ban. And by the time doctors felt that they were legally permitted to help her because she was close enough to death, it was too late, and she died. And now we're learning today that the Texas Maternal Mortality and Morbidity Review Committee revealed this week that it will not be reviewing any cases that have occurred over the last 2 years, which corresponds to Texas's abortion ban going into effect 2 years ago. They're just not going to investigate them at all. So there won't be any data. If you don't do any testing, then there's no COVID. If you don't do any investigating, then there are no deaths of young pregnant women. The board's decision has led to some internal dissent. If women are dying because of delays and we have this huge new policy in Texas that affects their lives, why would we skip over those years? Said a board member anonymously. They're just not going to investigate them. If there's no investigation, then there are no deaths from Texas's state abortion law. If there are no investigations in Georgia, then there are no deaths from Georgia's abortion ban. I don't know how these Republicans could communicate to all of us any more clearly that they do not give a shit about the lives of pregnant women and girls. They don't care. They don't care. And apparently the American electorate does not care either, because they knew almost all of this before deciding to re-elect Donald Trump, the man who's basically single-handedly responsible for overturning Roe versus Wade and taking constitutional rights away from half of our population. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Tuesday.